What's going on YouTube? Back here with another video on the channel, and today I'm going to do essentially a follow-up video to the one that I recently made talking about burn-in on my LG C2. First of all, thank you so much for all of you and the engagement and the comments. It's been, for my little channel, pretty incredible to see all the comments, both good, but some haterish, and that's okay. That's what you're going to get on YouTube, right? But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to talk about the settings on this display, to talk more about how I use the display primarily over the course of the 3-ish years I've owned it. And I'm gonna do some burn-in tests here. We're gonna do kind of a deeper dive here to see just how much burn-in is actually on this screen, because if you watch my first video, which you just so happen to see over there, I didn't do anything necessarily past the screensavers on Apple TV. I'm gonna run actual slideshows here, and we're gonna see just how bad the burn-in is on this display. All right, so first let's talk use case. So this display, when I purchased it back in 2022, the main use case for this was gonna be, I would put it at 90 to 95% gaming, HDR gaming, SDR gaming on console, and then that remaining 5 to 10% would be consuming SDR content such as YouTube off of an Apple TV 4K. And that's how I've used this display up until, say, a year ago, something like that, when effectively this display was retired to our master bedroom. And now I would put that at 99% HDR and SDR content at night and maybe 1% gaming. It's essentially retired from gaming. And what made that video over there you're looking at such a surprise to me to see the burn-in is not that I had burn-in, because the way I have the settings on this display, I'm not shocked to see it. What I am shocked to see is the content that's burned in on the screen, because the content that's burned in on the screen hasn't been on this display for at least 2 years and probably longer. Okay guys, let's pull the camera off of the tripod here and let's inspect closer, because I am seeing way more things burned in on the screen than I did originally. And not that it really matters at this point, but let's go ahead and come in for a closer look here. And the ones from the original video mainly are right there, 2.0 DMZ Beta Season 1, okay? Now what I'm noticing here on this burn-in screen, or this slide test, is I'm now seeing some additional things burned in. And what I'm thinking this is a mini-map. Okay, the Call of Duty mini-map right here. I'm thinking this is probably like maybe my arrow indicator or something, and maybe my teammates. I can even see the little running person there. And oh, as I go down, I can see something there on the camera. It's not coming through like a person, but it looks like it says deploy, probably with a little X button. And if you, upon further inspection, here are my teammates that are burned in on the screen. I'm not gonna zoom in on them in case it's some of my friends. All right, let's go over here to the right. And the other thing that I indicated on the original video is that up there, which is basically your rank icon. That's clear as day. But below it, I could see this white lotus something white lotus. I'm not quite sure what that is. Let me inspect more of the screen. Oh, here we go. This one's pretty obvious. Here's a big ass ring thing right here. I think that's to activate your special or whatever on this game. Something like that. It's part of the HUD indicator down here where you have your ammo count and whatnot. Let's back up. Do I see anything towards the middle? Maybe a little bit through here. But this is pretty disgusting, guys. All right, let's look towards the middle. I see something right here too. And now that I've gotten the shock of discovering burn-in on here, like it almost doesn't even faze me to see the other stuff burned in. And there's more reasons to that than at first glance. Let's try a different color here. Let me back up. All right, what are we seeing on this crazy pink screen? I'm seeing a lot more, just a lot of like lines going through, almost like horizontal banding, you know? The actual burned in logos, I can barely see beta there. You know, of course the rank indicator is there. I imagine this one is too. You can't really see it on camera, but where is it? Right here. It's definitely still there. So depending on the color, a little bit darker color, let's take a quick pan. Red, you could still see, so this rank indicator up here, which I'm not seeing on my camera, but it's there, I promise you. That seems to be the most persistent one on the colors here. And yep, clear as day, 2.0 DMZ, Modern Warfare 2 2022 got me. And naturally that lines up because that's probably the game that I was playing. And our deploy indicator and our HUD elements over here, probably for the special or whatever that's called. And there's our rank icon up there. What rank was I? Let me know if you can tell what rank that is. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny, guys. All right, so let's wrap up this video about how this burn-in that you clearly saw in the slides affects normal content consumption. So I'm on Netflix here. This is the show Wednesday. It's in Dolby Vision, which I'll show you momentarily. So let's take a look at how the settings on here look. And you can see here, there it says it's in filmmaker mode with my settings. Let's go ahead and click on settings, and we're just gonna take a look and make sure that the brightness is still turned up. All right, let's go to, I don't know why that didn't work. Let's go to advanced settings, kind of laggy. So obviously pixel brightness at 100, contrast 100, peak brightness high, and gamma's at 2.2 grayed out. So you can see here, I'm not trying to keep the brightness of the display turned down. I'm just approaching this like I'm watching this like normal, like I didn't know that the burn-in is there. And from a distance of behind the camera to the screen, which is probably about 5 feet, 5 to 7 feet, which is not my viewing distance, by the way. My viewing distance, because this is our master bedroom display, and I'm lying down in bed or whatever, I'm probably at least, as I look back, 15 feet back, okay? So I'm not seeing every little fine detail. But what I can tell you from 5 feet away, in a lit room, paused on an HDR, a Dolby Vision content movie or show, is up in the top right hand, I can see the Call of Duty logo. You can see here the screensaver came on, so you could see Dolby Vision's on. Top left, I don't see DMZ Beta Season 1. We remember down here on the bottom left, there was that big ass white deploy thing. I don't see any of that. We know over here on the bottom right, there's a big like HUD logo that's like for your special in Call of Duty, a big ring that prominently was displayed on the color sides. I don't see it at all. So at glance, if I'm really inspecting this image, pause right now, the only thing showing up from burn-in is a faint, and I mean very faint, rank icon up there in the top right. When I'm lying in bed at night, just kind of half-ass paying attention, I'm not seeing that. And that's my way of saying, even though this screen has terrible burn-in on it now, all over the place, more so than I even originally discovered, it's not really impacting my day-to-day content consumption. And let's face facts, this is not my primary content consumption display. If this was my primary, like when the movie Top Gun came out on 4K Blu-ray and I really wanted the best visual and audio experience, the C2 is never going to be used. This C2 is never going to be used that way anyway, but if it was, now we might have a conversation. But because it's been essentially retired to nighttime only, casual viewing, it's okay. I don't really feel the need to run out and buy a new display, even though this thing is toast. No pun intended. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap the video. I just wanted to show you, like, hey, if you're somebody who's afraid to buy OLEDs, the burn-in fears, yeah, it's still real. Even on a 2022 model, it can still happen to you. In my opinion, you're probably still safe, even on a model that old, as long as you're not turning off every single protectant on the display, every single dimming feature, the logo brightness, the care settings. I, again, went into the service menu and turned off the two that weren't even in a public menu. I literally went out of my way to give myself a chance to have this problem, so I earned this burn-in. But I'm happy to say that just normal content watching, especially if you're not right up to the screen, it's still passable, even with the horrible burn-in. I'm kind of surprised by that. Oh, one thing I want to do before I get out of here is I want to show you how many hours are on the display. That is one thing I wanted to do, and I forgot to do it at the front. I'll make note of it. Let's go into settings and let's see how many hours it took to achieve this burn-in, even with my irresponsible use. So we go to support, And we'll go on down here to TV information. And there it is, 9,269 hours. 9,269 hours, 69 dude, are on this display. And the burn-in was first noticed at probably 9,262 hours. Okay, that's a lot of hours. Really pushing the panel, really putting it through its paces, irresponsibly for what LG wants the consumer to do. And it took all of that to finally see it here years later. And I also have a theory on why I'm just now seeing it too. I'll talk about that in another video. This video's gone on long enough. So again, if you're afraid of burn-in, yes, it still exists. Yes, if one of these 2025 OLEDs doesn't have like a heat sink in it or some protectant, past the logo dimming stuff, you're going to be facing this in probably 3 to 5 years, depending on how you use the display, especially if you turn everything off. Now, the big question here is, if I knew then what I know now, that this was going to appear a few years into ownership, would I still buy that service remote, go into the service menu and turn off ASBL dimming? Hell yeah, I would. I've enjoyed this display the way I wanted to. I enjoyed gaming the way I wanted to on it when it was my primary gaming display. And stupid or not, I would absolutely do it all over again. That's going to do it for the video. If you did enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps me out. And of course, if you're new around here, really appreciate you stopping in and watching the video. Be sure to hit subscribe and turn on the bell. But with all that being said, until the next one.